everybody, welcome back to my book nook. I realized I forgot to introduce myself in the first video. My name's Amanda. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into today's book. So today I'm going to be talking about Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. First things first, this is not my normal genre of book. I don't typically read romances. Going to go over the brief little, hey, things to look out for in regards to this book. There's a little bit of cursing in it. It has very, very mild smut. None of the sexual activity is explicit, but you know what's going on. And if you are in the United States and are having some difficulties with the current political climate that is going on, you may want to hold off until things settle a little bit, because this book does deal a lot with problematic presidential candidates at times. Not in our main character or his family. Also, and this is not a content warning, but an FYI, it's a romance between two men. If you are homophobic, I'm also going to let you know this is not the channel for you, because I am a member of the LGBT community and there will be queer books that are discussed at times. Now, with that said, did a little bit of switcheroo on how I'm doing things. Spoilers will be at the last bit of the video. We are going to talk about the basic aspect of this book and my rating on it. Again, romance, not my normal genre. You have Alex, who is the son of the current female president of the United States of America, and Henry, who is a Prince of England. Because of this, they have interactions because they are both in the political public spotlight and are at similar events. We have a enemies to friends to lovers trope going on here. After a international incident, they have to interact and appear to the world that they are friends. This actually turns into a real friendship that, as time goes on, turns into a romance. So, my typical issue with romances is that they either have so much angst after when the couple gets together, that it's they break up, they make up, they break up, they make up. Are we going to stay together? Are we not? Oh, I miss them so much. It drives me up a wall. Or you have the concept of, now that we're together, everything in the world is perfect and nothing's going to go wrong. Those have been the only real interactions of romance novels that I have read prior to this, and that's not my cup of tea. This book does angst right. They get together. And yes, there is angst, but the angst isn't because the two of them are going back and forth of, oh, are we together or are we not? Do we want to be together or not? No. The angst is angst of coming out, both personally and then publicly. Angst of being in a relationship, not to mention a homosexual relationship, while you're in the public eye. Angst of trying to navigate your relationship while you have other family issues going on as well. This is a book that it actually feels real. So what do I think of this book? Gonna remind you, add 1 to my number because my brain will not let me give 10 out of 10s. This book is a 9 out of 10 for me. Alright, now we're going to get into the spoilery stuff, where I'm going to go through things I liked in this book, things I didn't like in this book. There's really not a lot that I didn't like in this book. In fact, off the top of my head, I can't really think of any, so it's mostly going to be sharing things I liked in this book, which will have some spoiler aspects in it. I love the epitaph page. I don't remember what this page is actually called, but it's for the weirdos and the dreamers, and I kind of feel I fall into both of those categories. So, you get to learn pretty early on, Alex and Henry have a pretty antagonistic relationship, and in the early interactions, it culminates in an expensive-ass wedding cake getting destroyed. Pictures of this get published internationally, and both of their mothers decide, hey, we need to ease this over because everyone is thinking, oh my goodness, England and America are going to go to war again. They hate each other so much. we can't have that going on. So Alex has been most of the cause of the antagonization. The first bit has to be with him. He goes over to England, they do some things together, visit different places, and it's just, showing that, hey, we have a friendship here. It's a good thing. So since they are going to need to try to be also faking this friendship, they exchange phone numbers because it's easier to figure things out via text than going through each other's handlers all the time. These texts eventually lead into phone calls and talking to each other, and then also to email. So later on in their friendship, when Henry comes to America to visit, and Henry kisses him. And this is the start now of when we have the romance beginning. This is also the start of the first part of the angst, because prior to this, Alex had never thought that he could be bi. As it turns out, he is bisexual. And so he does a lot of research in on this because he liked the kiss. He's doing research on this. He's talking to his sister June and his friend Nora. As time goes on, he realizes, oh, I'm bisexual. And he also is thinking that Henry is as well, because you always are seeing pictures of Henry with women. And as he talks with Henry, you find out that, no, Henry is gay. These are all pictures because his grandmother is very, very adamant that the royal family cannot be seen as anything but heterosexual. They must be seen as people who will then be able to propagate and have more. And Henry, while he's not direct next in line because he has an older brother, he is second in line, and if something was to happen to his older brother, not only would he have to be ready to take the throne, he would also have to produce himself an heir. Royalty, right? So at first, it's basically, they haven't gotten romantic. They are, at this stage, pretty much friends with benefits. They like spending time with each other, and when they are in the same areas, they find ways to sneak off and have sex. You start really seeing the inklings of this starting to change after they talk on the phone following a polo game where they hook up, and they admit to each other that they miss each other. So this is the start of the really, it's getting more than just we're having sex type things going on here. As time goes on, you also find out kind of where some of this antagonism that they had between them. Henry had developed a crush on Alex the first time he saw him, and didn't know how to handle this, so he became a little abrasive because he has a crush, but he's not allowed to be that. Alex also had a crush that he didn't even recognize because he did not recognize that he could be bisexual at that age, and was also antagonistic back because neither of them knew what they were doing. And it just kind of built and continued until it had gotten to the beginning of the book. So remember how I talked about that they would email even as friends? This emailing continued once they became sexual, and then once that really started getting into romantic. And the way the two of them flirted and courted with each other in these emails is some of the best ever, because they would reference other people in history who were not straight but have been straight washed. And so much, and throughout most of our life, people have been taught that they were straight, because we can't have people thinking that homosexuality, bisexuality, anything queer could have existed before now, right? Michelangelo to Tommaso Cavalieri. So eventually they realize that this is a romance. Henry still is not ready to come out publicly. He had already come out privately. He knew he was. He is not in a space where he can comfortably come out to his family, though. Alex is like, I need to do this. So he can't come out to June and Nora, his sister and friend, and then decides he's going to come out to his mother, who is the president. His dad, he also later comes out to, but it's not as big of a thing because there's already stuff that his mother has to deal with because she and her husband are divorced. So that's already a hurdle that she's been jumping already. But they have an amicable friendship now. the kids spend time with him a lot. And what his mother's biggest concern is the fact that they are two very public figures, and this could go disastrous. And her biggest point is, this is actually one of them going to read. But she goes on, this is a really, really big fucking deal. This is not just some person from class or some intern. You need to think really long and hard because you're putting yourself and your career, and above all, this campaign and this entire administration in danger here. I know you're young, but this is a forever decision. Even if you don't stay with him forever, if people find out, that sticks with you forever. So you need to figure out if you feel forever about him. And if you don't, you need to cut it the fuck out. Her biggest concern is, with where the two of you are, if this is not going to be a forever type thing, it needs to stop because this could be disastrous. When it's not these letter excerpts, the language that they use to flirt to each other is amazing. This is one of the ones from Henry to Alex. Should I tell you that when we're apart, your body comes back to me in dreams? That when I sleep, I see you. The dip of your waist, the freckle above your hip, and when I wake in the morning, it feels like I've just been... That for a few moments, I can hold my breath and be back there with you, in a dream, in 1,000 rooms, nowhere at all. They do start testing a couple of boundaries, though, after some of these emails, where they are going out in public together and not always being 100% aware of their surroundings when they kiss. There are, as comes out later, there are a few paparazzi photos that capture this. But what becomes the worst for the two of them in regards to their relationship is the White House email server gets hacked. And these emails get leaked. Real quick aside, one of the things that I would sometimes see people complain about in regards to this book, was about the email servers, that why would they be doing it on their own emails through that? People don't do that. First off, again, I'm not sure how it is in England. I'm going to assume that when you have a political figure, though, they pretty much are encouraged not to use their own private email address and to use an email server that is connected to whatever political aspect they are, because that should be more secure. In the United States, they are encouraged, hey, if you're going to be sending emails, you send them on the White House server. It is a more secure server than your regular Gmail server. Also, how many times have affairs or true crime stuff been discovered because people email other people about it and that gets leaked? It is not uncommon or unheard of for people to use email servers, work servers, political servers to carry out things regarding sexual relationships. Really isn't. I'm not surprised by that being how they discovered at all. Unfortunately for Henry, though, this means that his grandmother and the rest of his family finds out. His older sister and his mother are fine with this, but his grandmother and his brother, they are not comfortable at all and start encouraging him to try to end things and reestablish the proper image that they need. This does lead to the biggest amount of angst between Henry and Alex when Henry, dealing with all of this family issue now, kind of stops responding to Alex to the point that he gets on a plane and flies over to England to confront what the hell's going on. The Queen is being defensive about it. Henry's mother is standing up for him, explaining this is the only life that's true for him. Queen keeps bringing up stuff, hey, what about heirs? Alex is like, we can adopt, we can get surrogates, it's okay, we can still make sure he has an heir. Because Henry at this point had already threatened to abdicate his right to the throne if they make him end this relationship. So now I'm going to jump away from the relationship side of things to cover the political aspect that's been going on in the background. In this universe, Alex's mother has just completed her first term and is running for a second term. Alex has a political mentor named Raphael Luna. Luna is a senator. He is also homosexual, and it's been someone that's helped Alex figuring out what he wants to do politically, because he does want to get into politics. He wants to follow the footsteps of his parents, because both of them are in politics. Luna joins the Republican candidate, which Alex takes as a severe betrayal. Luna was not Republican. He was definitely more along the lines of independent, and he did not fall in line with the Republican belief system, but he wanted to get that, as far as what they could see, he wanted to get that jump in politics. Luna knew about the relationship because one of the people that Alex told about was Raphael Luna, and just understands eventually that this was information that came from the RNC side. And not just from the RNC side, but from the presidential candidate himself. And this information comes out just in enough time before the election that Alex's mother does get her second term. So yeah, this was a great book. I loved it. I saw people talking about it and I was like, okay, it's a romance. But you know what, a lot of people talked about it, I'll give it a shot. I did not go into this book expecting to love it as much as I do, and it's definitely in my top 10. It's probably in my top 5, and I never would have thought that I'd put a romance novel in there. That was Red, White, and Royal Blue. I'll see you next time. Bye.